Hey everyone, Cookie here from SSW, and we are doing the SugarLearning Sprint Review Retro for Sprint 180 and Sprint Forecast for 181. Let's get into it. So, as you can probably tell, we have an audience of one right now. That is because SugarLearning is in maintenance mode. So, up until a few days ago, it was myself and Nick Curran. He has since moved on to bigger and better things, so I am taking over the reins for maintenance mode. And there's not much to report for this particular sprint. We've got two main cliff notes. So if we bounce over to the email, as we can see, our sprint goals were just to sort of continue with the maintenance work. I've done a bit of shenanigans with the sprint duration because doing 3 weeks just to sort of realign it with the calendar. Okay, so let's get into it. First of all, the time spent, literally just Nick and I as we were doing handover for product owner duties, so not much to report there, no other workers on SugarLearning. These were our sprint goals. Nick had just a couple of little admin things to tie up on the dashboards, like getting rid of 201s from our failure reports, and then it was just back to monitoring for faults. Our burn down is mostly irrelevant because we only had those two work items. I've chosen to leave that monitoring one as not complete because I'm just going to roll it over sprint by sprint. And if we scroll down, we've got no code coverage changes because there have been no code changes this sprint. And we have had one deployment, and we needed to do this for reasons. I think it was it was actually to do with that dashboard change because that's controlled by our bicep templates. So in order to get rid of that, if we scroll back up, in order to fix this HTTP 201 showing up on the dashboards, we had to do a pull request. So we did a deployment through there. That was our one deployment for this sprint. Application health, pretty good. You will notice that we did have some 500s. In fact, if I just bounce over to this, so we're seeing the last 30 days, and if we mouse over and find the 500s here, you'll see that just a few days ago, those sort of big spikes there, we suddenly got a whole bunch of internal server errors. So that is kind of exciting thing number one to talk about, which is our emails stopped sending because we were using a SendGrid trial account. They stopped off their free version, so they moved us to a trial account. That trial account expired, and once it expired, we started getting a whole bunch of 500s because emails weren't sending. Good news is that that got solved pretty much within 24 hours after it was discovered, so that's all back online, and you can see that we don't have any further 500s since that date, so that's good. We've only had like a slight decrease in number of users. You can see that the average has barely shifted from last sprint to this sprint, but it is worth calling out that we went from 96 to 90. But again, this is from a 5-week period to a 3-week period. So in fact, no, sorry, I'm mistaken. I've wound this back to do over 30 days. So it is like a slight decrease in the average. On to China. This is the other thing of note to mention. Previous sprint, we discovered that there was a huge spike in the number of requests. As you can see from this graph here, over on the far right, the sum of server requests just organically dropped back off to nominal levels. So whoever it was that was sort of poking at the China SugarLearning instance must have just given up and moved on to greener pastures. So we're back to pretty standard request counts there on average. We've had no change in the roadmap because we've had no devs on the project. We did no R&D because we've had no devs on the project. And that, all in all, is pretty much the summary of this sprint. Very quiet, as you would expect. As for the retro, what went well? So the client requests for China dropped off and back to nominal rates. We're happy with that. What didn't go so well, so the email stopped working, and we just found that due to our daily sort of check-in on the logs and the analytics that we saw that. So we were able to catch it within sort of a couple of days of it happening and fixing it. Good news is that by finding that, we were actually able to identify or proactively identify that problem for other SSW products as well. So that was pretty cool. What improvements are we going to be made? So our glorious sysadmins are doing their chores, and as part of that, we need to update the security.txt file and the public key that we use for sort of anonymous vulnerability reports. So I've thrown that in as an improvement to be made for next sprint. It should be fairly small to do that. In fact, we might even try to get AI to do it for us to see how it goes. On to sprint 181 forecast. So no surprises here. We're just going to continue monitoring because there is no active development on SugarLearning right now. And with that being said, we will just have that one PBI that we're carrying over from last sprint. And I may create another PBI just to do that security text file as well. That's about it for SugarLearning for the monthly sprint or 3-weekly sprint. As per usual, if you would like to find this sprint review, you can go to the SugarLearning channel, and we have a playlist called SSW Sprint Summaries. 32 subscribers, still about, the same distance we are from that gold YouTube plate as we were last sprint, but hey, maybe next time. This has been Cookie, and I will see you in the next one.